My name is Clair Terborg, and I'm here today to introduce you to a very special guest that I'm having on today. His name is Mr. Bill Perry, and he has a book that he wants to portray to the world. And believe me, everyone needs to hear From Hell to
Heaven.
From Hell to Heaven. And Mr. Perry would give you a lot of insight. Stay tuned and listen to what is going on, and you'll get a better understanding. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you now to none other than the author of this book, Hell to Heaven, Mr. Bill Perry.
Yes, good afternoon. Yeah, I'm Bill Perry of Bill Perry Private Eyes Investigations. We own a private investigation agency for a number of years, 20 years here. I was doing right at 20 in New York, so I've been doing this a long time. And we do everything from murder, missing persons, human trafficking. We just don't do your everyday thing like infidelity. We do that, but we get into some really messy stuff. And the book here that I'm the author of, From Hell to Heaven Through the Eyes of a PI, it runs parallel to some of the things that we've encountered. At the same time, it gives you a God side, Jesus, where you would never think. Because in the beginning, this book is all about PTSD. It's about just normal life of, let's say, a soldier, in this case, Murdoch, Marine, and Hurrah, my son is still, he's Marine, he's in and out, but he's forever in there. And when they get called back or called to duty, in this case to Afghanistan, and it's just sitting there, get a call, and they've got to cut right out the duty. But when they land and in days looking for a terrorist, in this case Abraham, that it turns south. It really gets bad. People deal with PTSD. A lot of times they think it's just soldiers, and we salute you, our soldiers, the police, and all our first responders, because a lot of people don't even know. They think, well, have you ever thought about what a nurse sees in a hospital, especially if she's in the ER room? They see everything. And the paramedics, it's just like being in full-fledged war. When they pull up to a traffic accident or a shooting, they have to deal with stuff people never even would think about, that they're dealing with PTSD. So in this book, right here, it indicates, all right, they're soldiers, they're battling stuff, and while even there on the battlefield, there's a moment where I'm sure that some of the soldiers are being hesitant because they're running right into the line of fire. A lot of the soldiers, there are a few of them that's being killed there. They're calling on God, they're calling Jesus, because who else are you going to call when you're in that situation, when you've taken on a bullet and you know that blood is seeping up from your body and you're about to meet your maker? Amen. So you're going to call out to the King of Kings. This book is we've interviewed soldiers, police officers, retired or not retired, that deal with stuff like this. Is unbelievable. A lot of people think, you don't know, you're at the supermarket in line with somebody who's seen something that you've only seen on TV. And believe me, I've seen stuff as a private investigator through years that you've never seen, that I've seen, that I've witnessed, and that I've been a part of. So people deal with things is unbelievable.
Certainly does.
Yeah, it will destroy you.
But let me say this. In reference to what you just said about being in the hospital and in the ER and stuff like that, incidentally, I work at the hospital, and at one of my posts, we called out for them to bring in, the helicopter was coming in, because they were bringing in a 21-year-old that shot himself in the head.
Wow.
And I didn't expect to see, because I'm the one that had to, since I'm a security officer, I have to make sure that people come into the hospital without any contraband, right, or anything like that. And when they brought him through, of course I couldn't do any checking because they had the heart on him, pumping for him. I mean, his head, you could see the blood, the brains was falling out of his head.
Wow.
And I mean, I just didn't look. And I'm glad I didn't, because I didn't want to have no PTSD, because I'm
Right.
sure I would have remembered that. But then one of the EMTs came out and he said, "What is that? They need to get that cleaned up." And when I looked down, it was a piece of his brain
Yeah.
that was sitting there. And I could well imagine what you just said, because that was just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
I just saw a little bit of that. So I truly understand when you talk about PTSD and the ER, it's a lot that goes on in there.
It's still in your mind, I'm sure. You can't get it out. You saw a piece of it.
Yes.
Can you imagine what these soldiers, what the police are dealing with?
Yes.
Head on, ER, everybody. So we want people to buy this book. It's on Amazon. We want you to get the book because it's more than just say you're going to read a book. This book really takes you into of what's going on, that so many people don't pay attention to everyday life of what people are dealing with. And this book deals with what's going on. It tells you about it, tells you about when you come back home from this or you leave your job, when you come home, you just can't shut it off and go to bed and go to sleep. A lot of people are still dealing with this. And we have to say it like it is. I've attended a number of times where we're sitting there with soldiers or first responders. They've seen stuff that's so horrific that I have a guy that I deal with that comes in. He's been on a show when we were doing shows ourselves, where one of his comrades, they were in Vietnam and there was a shooting and they survived and somebody got shot and they thought they got away and they ran across a bomb in the Jeep and the glass was blown off and it cut his buddy's head totally off, and he was left holding the steering wheel with no head, gripping, and his body jumping all over the place.
I could really imagine.
This-
Couldn't imagine.
Yeah, can you imagine something like this? You're paying to go to a movie, see a horror movie. These guys live this all the time through the years. You just can't wipe it out. And they're saying, look, we've taken medicine. Some of the guys freak out. And then a lot of times they say to me, we got to bend our knees and pray to the King of Kings because we're going crazy. There's just no way out. So I'm not saying that because you're dealing with stuff that I'm saying that you're losing it. I'm just saying you're dealing with stuff that's so horrific that a lot of times just regular doctors and regular medicine, I'm not knocking it. Sometimes you've got to go beyond that. You've got to
Yes.
bend your knees.
Yes. Well, let's talk about, I know that has to do with the PTSD and the soldiers and, people in the army and different things. But there's also, we talked about children that were missing in the line of your work.
Right.
Let's talk a little about you as a private investigation and your team. When people are missing, we talked a little bit about that. Could you tell people a little bit about if they have loved ones that are missing, things that happen that they don't understand and they can't get anyone to put it into perspective as to what happened? How could they get some closure? People that was missing for years, like we talked about,
Right.
we are okay and we moved on, but they are still living that like it was yesterday. Could we talk a little bit about that?
Of course. I'm going to tie in the whole thing. You're going to be hearing about, it should be before the summer, WeCanFindYou.world. And it's a combination of all things. We first are attacking where the kids were adopted years ago, whether it be 10, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. And by God, we're able to find them. When you hear WeCanFindYou.world soon, in the next few months, the coming of it, you're going to realize that we're going to be able to do the impossible. Because it's by God. And it also has to deal with everybody in the Holocaust have not been found. They had to change their names, their religions, move all over the world. And the families could have passed away, some of them, but the other, as it starts to, the other kids were born, they're there, they are left. Nobody knows because that line or that bridge was cut off in the family. And then we'll go where kids were kidnapped in, I'd say, orphanages all over the world 40, 50 years ago. We've gotten stories, and I have stories in the office that we have, that it will explain where people thought their families were born and they died. We found out they were alive and they were sold as babies.
So you could even find those people on the milk carton boxes
yes,
that we see all the time.
Yes.
And incidentally, those are not very long ago. I mean, some of them is just a few years ago these kids were missing.
Right.
And you know, some of them they're showing you the progression of their features of what they look like now. So you guys could help to find.
We have a calling mechanism that's going to be introduced to the world that's totally different. We're not going to say that we can find everybody, but I guarantee you, if you're there's different like tiers. If you're in the adoption side of the world, or if you're in the side of the world where you're looking for families and you're raising your hands like, here I am, we can find you. We've got people that they call the war babies or the brown baby syndrome, where people are, let's say the soldier had an affair or whatever, he had a child by a woman in another country. Well, these kids now have grown up and they're looking for their fathers in this case. They're looking for moms, we're looking for fathers in this case, where they have no idea where to find them. We are finding them. We have a special unit that handles that. Jasmine handles that for us. She's out of Germany, she's back on this side. We have a whole group and a unit that handles this. And then for people that go missing, here's the difference of what the police does is everything that they could possibly do. The difference of that, like I said, we're going to use a different mechanism of like where you are, we keep looking, but the PI side could keep going on for days, weeks, and months. The police have so many things that they're coming across, they can't stay with this all the time. By the time they can get one call, somebody's missing, I guarantee you, probably before the week is out, which is not publicized all over the place,
Yeah.
scores of people are missing. The difference is that we're still going to be sending up a light to still keep looking for these people. And the way that we're going to do it, it will get the attention. I can't say it all right now because that's part of our, I call it recipe of how we're going to find people. And we can find you .world, which is by Bill Perry, Private Eyes, a private investigation agency we own, and then my wife and I own it, and then it is the book. So how you can look at the book right now, we have quite a few things that we're doing. We changed up on the site. So what we're doing, the actual site of we can find you .world isn't up until probably maybe another 60 days. The reason for it is because it has a lot of secrecy on it. We can't release it until time. And to look at right now, I would say go to Bill Perry, Private Eyes, and tap in where you see Hell to Heaven, the logo, Hell to Heaven inside there, and you can look at the different things that we kind of put a collage of stuff in Facebook together from other people to show you, just to get an indication what people go through in life every day. When we may just go to the store and we got it made, there's suffering all over the world. And we prepare to do this to help out people all over the world. It's not just going to be we make it and we forget. No, this is past the baton to help the world at we can find you .world, because you're dealing with hell to heaven through the eyes of a PI.
So that's a little bit of what Mr. Bill, and when I said a little bit, it's just the tip of the iceberg, guys, because he also deals with human trafficking. And how many of you know that we're here in Florida, which is very transient, and that happens every day. Am I right?
Yeah.
It happens every day. We just not aware of it because we're not in that line of business. We just hear when we get a little alarm over our phone saying a child is missing in Polk County or a child is missing here and there, but it's a wider scope than that. And so this company right here, run by Mr. Bill Perry with the private PI, they can get to the bottom of it. I don't want to say that they can get it all done like he said, but they can get to the bottom of most of what's going on as far as missing, PTSD, what else?
Human trafficking.
Human
I'll give you an
trafficking.
example. All of this stuff, I'll give you a total example here. We see a lot of people unaware. Florida, if I'm not mistaken, is number 3 in the whole country of human trafficking. We were blessed to the point that we were able to rescue some girls in Delray and in Margate, Florida, the Fort Lauderdale area. People don't think, they're thinking, oh, no, not here. Well, we're able to find these girls. Thank God we're able to bring them back. We found where...
Welcome back to A Better Life with Claire and Mr. Bill Perry. So guys, I hope you learned a lot about this private investigator and what he does. And believe me, if you know of anyone, you have a loss, you have people in prison, you have people that are in trafficking, anything of that nature, Mr. Bill Perry will give you his number. He will give you the site where you can go. And believe me, you'll be surprised how many people have loved ones that they're looking for. I myself, it's within my family where there's some people that we're looking for. And I'm glad that I got a chance to meet this awesome man of God who is putting him and his wife time along with his team to help us to find the people that we love. So with that being said, I'm gonna have Mr. Perry give you all the information you need. If you need to meet with him, if you need to call and book an appointment, he'll be available along with his team. Mr. Perry, could you tell the people where they can reach you and
Sure.
give them some of your details?
Sure. Okay, site for Bill Perry Private Eyes is billperryprivateeye.com. billperryprivateeye.com. It's also indicated, it'll pick it up with the S as well, billperryprivateeyes.com. That's the main site for the whole 9 yards of it. The office number is 954-718-3663. We're in the Fort Lauderdale area, a town called Tamarack. We're the suburbs of Fort Lauderdale. We're right there. Been at that location for 20 years. And we've handled everything from kidnapping to, like I said, murder, missing persons. We did this in New York as well. And we're now beginning to cover the world because the comment of wecanfindyou.world is exactly that. We're at a point where we're going to be taking on stuff around the world. That's why the actual site is down, because of all the different laws that we've got to deal with the government worldwide, and that should be done pretty soon. But again, just to follow us and give us your your liking, go to Bill Perry Private Eyes, plural, on Facebook. And then there's also a section there where you're going to see Hell to Heaven, Hell #2 Heaven, right there. And you can click on and follow us on that part of Facebook. And you can also buy the book on Amazon at Hell #2, Hell to Heaven, Through the Eyes of a PI.
Thank you guys. And Mr. Perry, it was awesome. That was great information that you've provided for us today. And I'm sure that people out there would run out and get this book. Don't forget, guys, there's a lot more in this book that we did not touch on because we can't give it all to you. So you got to buy the book so that you can learn more about what Mr. Perry has written in this book. Thanks again for watching. See you next time.